Well, good morning, everybody. It's Monday, June 30th. Welcome to our final episode of Up to the Minute before we go on summer hiatus. That's right, today's the last episode of June and of the summer. We'll be back when the fall returns mid-August. Well, thank you for joining us today. I'm Dr. Nicholas Cox, HCC's Department of History Department Chair, and I'm here today with Jake Crowley, HCCTV Production Specialist. Jake, how was your weekend?
It's great, Nick. Thanks for asking. How was yours?
Pretty good, pretty good. I went and did some hiking in the outdoors up at Lake Livingston. Anything interesting your way?
I just really took it easy. I just really needed this weekend to chill since last week was really busy and last weekend I worked all weekend, so I was really happy to have this weekend off.
I wonder if you're like my sons. Did you spend about 5 hours binging the new season of The Bear?
No, I did not, but I did play some basketball outside.
All right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Let our audience know how they can find us online on our social media.
Yeah, of course. We're live on the Houston Community College District Facebook page, not HCC, and YouTube. We're also on X, LinkedIn, and HCC TV at noon, 5, and 10 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Well, thank you very much, Jake. So as our audience knows out there, on Mondays, we have Mental Health Monday segments, and our regular guest from the Jung Center will be here today to discuss what the father of analytical psychology called the afternoon of life. Welcome to the show, Sarah Garcia.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I understand you're the manager of the Community for Conscious Aging at the Jung Center, and this will be your topic today to talk about conscious aging. But we're going to have you in our second segment. When we come back after the break, Jake's going to interview you and talk all about that.
Sounds great.
All right, thanks for being here and just stand by. Our first guest today is an HCC alum. We welcome this former student to share her journey that ultimately led her to invent a cleft palate medical device. This is Elisa Alcendi, who goes by her trademark name of Madam E. Madam E, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Nick, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I appreciate you taking your time out because we love to have student success stories, but also this development of this technology for cleft palate treatment sounds remarkable. I understand you're the founder of Mu'id, the Mecca Medical, and the Faisal Foundation. Could you tell me just a little bit about both of those things, Mu'id Mecca Medical
Yes.
and
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, yeah, tell us a little bit about either one.
Yes, so I am the founder and CEO of Mu'id Mecca Medical Corporation and also the founder and president of the Faisal Foundation. Mu'id Mecca Medical is a a medical healthcare innovation for pediatric cleft lip babies. This is where Halo Med evolved from. And then in honor of my son, I opened the Faisal Foundation to continue to help support and bring cleft awareness until Halo Med is presented to the public after clinical validation. So we're making a global impact.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear. And we might have some questions so you can elaborate a little bit more on more details there. But, I wondered if you would tell our students out there, especially a little bit about your time at HCC.
Yes. So HCC, I'd like to say is my second home, is where my journey started with my education. And from there, I started in pharmacy, and then transitioned into law. So at HCC, I did most of my my pre-courses, and then I transferred to U of H, earned my BBA in finance, focused mostly in oil and gas. And then I ended up in law school for E&E law, healthcare law, and IP law, patent law. So through this experience, through my education, I had my son. So my personal experience came from the cleft craniofacial side.
Now, I was going to ask about that in terms of your family history. And so the cleft palate is something that became a central passion of your career as a result of your son.
Yes, that's correct.
So I'll tell you here just a quick personal anecdote for a second. I had a graduate school mentor who was really important to me, he was born probably in the 1950s and he's since passed away, but he was born in the 1950s with a cleft palate. And throughout his childhood, adolescence, and into his, late teenage years, he routinely had to have intervention surgeries. It left him vulnerable to sinus infections for almost all of his life. And he also had a lot of pain management issues that on occasion caused him difficulty with the cleft palate pain management, and it was just something that he really struggled with his entire life. And it's really good to hear that we've made a lot of progress considering he was born in the 1950s and your son was born presumably in the 2020s or 2010s. But is there anything more on your family that you'd like to elaborate on there about that experience that brought you to this?
Yes, so I have two twin daughters who never had cleft palate at all. My son is the one who ended up having the cleft lip, cleft palate, and the journey has been a learning experience for me, understanding his treatment methods. Because he had cleft lip palate, he ended up losing his hearing. So I understand all the challenges that go with it, especially the feeding situations, because when they have an open palate, there's no suction. So they can't breastfeed, they really cannot take milk. So there's only certain, like Dr. Brown bottles that can help with feeding them. So it's a long journey and it will be a long journey. My son will continue to have surgeries, but I'm blessed by anyways because look what came out of it, Halo Med. So I'm very fortunate to, go on this journey with my son and hopefully help other babies along the way.
Well, why don't you tell our audience out there exactly what is Halo Med? Because that leads us right into this next question. Tell us more about this device.
Yes, so Halo Med is a non-invasive medical headwear device. It is patented, and so it helps with gap closure for preoperative stages right now. We hope Mu'id will continue to make innovative medical device solutions for post-op and in transition during any scar tissuing. So there are extra medical devices that we're going to be working on after Halo Med's success. So that's basically what Halo Med is.
Now, your experience with cleft palate and with Halo Med has brought you into contact with other people working on these issues. And I was wondering if you could tell our audience out there about the American Cleft Palate Craniofacial Association and what you do with ACPA.
Yes, I found it very important to join their organization so I could learn better, what the community and the clinical team go through on a daily basis when they do have babies that are affected by this condition. And so I am a cleft advocate. I just became a new member with them. So I'm looking forward to, collaborating and engaging with a bunch of meaningful work in the cleft craniofacial space.
Now, as you move Halo Med further and further along toward widespread adoption and usage, what kind of support have you gotten? What has the response been to this newly patented device that you guys have?
Well, I'm proud to say that I went through SATOP. Well, first I went through SATOP in the beginning, and I had an SBDC mentor who helped introduce me to that platform, and that resource has been very pivotal in getting and achieving my milestones. So they did help with my medical device under my guidance and leadership. And I also am very proud to say that it's an award-winning device. So we are making great strides, and now we're in clinical validation, and we're hoping collaborators would take this message by heed and reach out.
Now, the Faisal Foundation you mentioned earlier is named for your son, and it's an advocacy for cleft palates and maybe the advancement of this device. What else does the Faisal Foundation do? What kind of things does it contribute in addition to ACPA or HaloMed?
I think the thing that differentiates us from other nonprofits is that we have a very strong sustainability program. So once the HaloMed is done using on the cleft baby, it's done its job, then we recycle it and use it for other babies who can't have medical treatment access, because HaloMed, you can use it more than one time. So we have a very strong sustainability program to reduce medical waste. And so that makes us a little bit different than other nonprofits. But we're not in competition with any other nonprofits. We want to collaborate and partner with them to continue to bring awareness to cleft babies and what they deal with on a daily basis.
Do I understand? Maybe this was what you meant, or maybe this was clearer. But if a parent and child with cleft palate use this device and then they grow out of it through either age or size or healing or surgery, then that device can be reused. Are you guys involved in making those devices available, perhaps in their second and third use as they're recycled in other parts of the world, perhaps parts of the world that can't afford these in the initial run?
Yes, that is, you said that perfectly and you took the words right out of my mouth. That is the vision for it. We want to maximize the usage of HaloMed as much as possible to reduce the medical waste, you know, implementation. And then after that, once it's at its limitation, then we would use that medical device for other sources such as energy, because some of the materials are, recyclable. So we just don't want any medical waste. That's our goal.
No, that's wonderful. And the idea that we can also develop things here that become useful all around the world is also wonderful. So we're going to have to bring it to a close. This sounds like a great development, and we appreciate you sharing your experience from HCC student to innovative medical device patenteer and inventor. Is there anything you'd like to say in close before we take a break?
Yes. Just calling for collaboration and partnerships. I'm welcoming all universities and healthcare and clinical craniofacial teams to reach out, welcoming the invitation for us to collaborate and bring this mission to fruition.
Well, we're going to have all your contact information in the notes after the show, but thank you, Madam E, founder of Mu'id Mecca Medical and the Faisal Foundation, as well as an advocate for ACPA. Thank you again.
Thank you.
All right, after a quick commercial break, Jake is going to be back to talk about isolation among our older adults with our guest from the Jung Center.
I'm learning healthcare management while providing patient care.
I came back to grow my skills, even after I graduated.
And if I can't make it in person, I take my classes online.
Dear Santa, my mom says I'm a good helper, but you didn't come last year. I just really hope this year when I wake up, I'm gonna see that you came to my house too.
Donate today.
I think it's just vapor with flavor.
It won't hurt my kid like cigarettes, right?
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
My kid?
My kid knows it's dangerous.
Get your head out of the cloud. Today, nearly 8,000 kids will start vaping, maybe even yours. Learn about the dangers at talkaboutvaping.org.
Hi, welcome back to the show. And now we are going to be moving on to Sarah Garcia, manager of the Community of Conscious Aging for the Jung Center of Houston and our Mental Health Monday guest. Welcome to the show, Sarah. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's great to have you on. So let's begin by defining loneliness and what are the risks associated with it.
Right. So there's two components really to loneliness. There's the emotional aspect, which is really the pain experienced around disconnection. And there's kind of a social behavioral component, which is having few trustworthy contacts, few relationships where you actually experience a sense of intimacy. Vivek Murphy, the U.S. Surgeon General, really highlights this, that you can be surrounded by others at work, school, or church, wherever it may be, but still feel a sense of alienation if you don't really have that authentic connection flowing.
Okay, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have more?
Just a little bit. I wanted to note that feeling lonely is a really common thing. Statistically, they found about 1/3 of adults experience a feeling of loneliness, and about 1/4 of adults experience that lack of social and emotional connectedness.
Okay, yeah. And can you give us a look at loneliness across generations?
Definitely, definitely. So I wanted to start with kind of a broader look across the generations. So a lot is said about folks in the second half of life experiencing loneliness. And that's because the risks, the health risks, are really, really intense for older folks. Heart disease, dementia, stroke, death are all increased. It's as bad for your health, experiencing loneliness, as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So it's really, really important. But the age group that actually has the highest rate of loneliness is age 19 to 29. So it's across generations at this time. And there are mental health risks, depression, anxiety for everyone involved.
Well, that's very interesting that you say it's ages 19 through 29. It's a very young group, and I'm in my 20s right now. So can you tell people how to overcome loneliness? If they're ever feeling lonely, what should they do?
Well, my suggestion throughout this conversation is to participate in intergenerational connectedness. That's reaching out to folks that are older than you, that are younger than you, and developing a diversity of relationships.
Okay, yeah, that's a great answer. And I'm guessing this is where what you're a part of comes in very well. So can you please tell us how the Community for Conscious Aging is a great space for people?
Definitely, definitely. Well, a lot of our programming is focused on the second half of life, obviously. So we have programming in the fall that's focused on menopause as a critical point of kind of death and rebirth experiences. Also talking about the archetype of the hag in older women, and also finding your place in the so-called sandwich generation, age 30 to 60, where you might be caregiving for children as well as parents at the same time. And we've had folks of all ages attend these programs and participate in the conversations that tend to follow. And the conversation just yields all this gold, all this insight, wisdom sharing, and connection.
Okay. And earlier you mentioned different health risks like dementia, heart disease. So do you think those play a part in loneliness, or like how people get those based on like, I guess what I'm asking is, do you think health factors play a role in loneliness?
Definitely. If you're experiencing mental health crisis or physical challenges, ailments, chronic pain, it can be a barrier to venturing out and enjoying those connections as you used to before those conditions arose.
Okay, and because your organization, you said, or the place you're a part of, works on the second half of life, adults. Can you give any advice can you add on to what you were just saying about younger people and how they can not get to that part of the life where they can be active and going?
Yeah, so you can age kind of consciously. Thank you for that question. I'll just reference kind of the broader culture for this. So there's a lot in the media about loneliness. Netflix's Adolescence series, it's gotten a lot of acclaim, and it really highlights bullying, relationships online, and this gap in awareness and shared language between the adolescents and their parents and the teachers and the environments that they're in. And love is seen as a really big component. Love and sexuality is a big component of that conversation. And we see this dynamic in real life all the time. Parents don't know what's going on with their kids. They don't know how to have those kind of conversations. And I have to reference Esther Perel, a psychotherapist who talks about love and relationships. And she notes that in modern culture, there is a lot of pressure on that one person to be everything for someone. To serve as their confidant, their ally, their best friend, also their romantic partner. And the suggestion here is to involve yourself in intergenerational connectedness. So you can have mentors, you can have friends, and you can have those connections that actually empower you in your experience of love and anchor you to different points. So there's not so much pressure in that one domain of life.
Well, that was great. That was really well said. And another question I have is, to add on what you've been talking about, can you tell people what related sources you would like to suggest for people to do?
Absolutely. Well, obviously, the Community for Conscious Aging is a great resource. You can sign up for our newsletter at thejungcenter.org. But if you're curious about the state of community in America, I have to reference Robert Putnam's Bowling Alone. I have my copy of his book right here. It's pretty thick. I won't pretend to have finished it yet, but it's a great entry point for understanding isolation in America. I'd also reference Natalie Wynn. She's a YouTube essayist, and she's written for The Guardian about cyberbullying, cancel culture, the male loneliness epidemic. And she just puts kind of a different, more modern spin on the similar topics. And if you're interested from an academic perspective, Mary Omer wrote on self and collective efficacy in community, and I would highly suggest that. And then finally, I believe it's 741-741 is the crisis hotline if you're experiencing loneliness and you need a resource.
Okay, wow. No, that was really great information. And it was really great having you on the show. And I just want to tell everyone to say thank you to Sarah Garcia, manager of the Community of Conscious Aging at the Jung Center of Houston, and was our Mental Health Monday guest. We will have your info in our post after the show.
Thank you so much, Jake.
Yeah, you're welcome. Okay, coming up after a quick commercial break, Nick and I will return with some news and announcements.
I'm learning healthcare management while providing patient care.
I came back to grow my skills, even after I graduated.
And if I can't make it in person, I take my classes online.
When a child is sick, there's one thing they need: a really big cookie.
Welcome to RMHC.
We're not big on poking sticks and beeping machines, but we're the best at playing dress up. We think the Tooth Fairy should travel everywhere, and while hospitals have doctors and nurses, we have mom and dad. Because at Ronald McDonald House Charities, we help families feel at home, even when they can't be.
Where I come from, they call firefighters the bravest. My dad was one. We lost him 3 years ago. First Responders Children's Foundation gave me a scholarship so that I can become a nurse and help people just like my dad did.
Help us help them.
All right. Well, thanks to both of our guests. I'm back, though, with Jake, and we're going to close out this last episode today with some news and announcements. First things first, it's June 30th. Have you done your PEP? The deadline is today. All HCC PEP documents must be acknowledged by the end of June, today, end of day. So for details, go visit my HCC and check our post after the show for more information.
Yeah, and speaking of things coming up right away, tomorrow on July 1st at 6 p.m. on Zoom, HCC's online Office of Student Life says that students can beat the heat and learn to make homemade ice cream and toppings. Make sure to check our post after the show for more info.
All right, and Wednesday, we're going to have a wellness walk at the Rec, Sports, and Student Life at the East Side campus. They're inviting everyone to take a quick walk around campus while exploring topics such as nutrition, sleep, and mental health. This first wellness walk Wednesday is going to be from noon to 1, starting July 2nd at the HCC Eastside Student Life Center foyer. Check our post after the show for more information.
Yeah, and GI60 Summer Drama Practice, which is HCC's drama students, are presenting the annual GI60 Houston, performing 1-minute plays from around the world at 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday and Thursday, July 2nd and 3rd at HCC's Stafford's Fine Arts Center. And yeah, check our post after the show.
All right. Well, we want everybody out there to know that lunch is back. HCC Central's Culinary Arts has brought back its popular lunches, so student chefs can show off their skills. They're going to host every Thursday. The next one is this Thursday, July 3rd, from noon to 1:30 p.m. That's at the HCC Central Campus at the Culinary Arts Building. You can check our post after the show for more information.
Yeah, and here's some news. Along with planning for the HCC's new name, Houston City College, Chancellor Margaret Ford Fisher is hosting several news shows, and HCC's TV staff has been working hard to record them. So after today's show, Up to the Minute is taking a summer hiatus until students return for fall classes. However, our best of episodes will continue to run on HCCTV at its regularly scheduled time of noon, 5, and 10 p.m. on weekdays. And we will return to Up to the Minute live on Monday, August 18th.
All right, well, the last thing we want everybody out there to know, students especially, is that registration is open. The summer 2 session starts on Monday, but fall registration is open as well. It is time to start thinking about your fall classes. So if you haven't enrolled already, just a reminder that HCC classes are offered in a variety of programs, sessions, and a range of modalities, including traditional in-person classes, online anytime classes that are asynchronous. We have online classes that meet virtually on a schedule. We have hybrid classes that meet partly online, partly in person, as well as hybrid labs. To learn more about HCC programs, start dates, and options to cover your costs, go to hccs.edu/apply. And as we close out today and close out for the year, I just wanted to repeat one more time, Up to the Minute is taking a summer hiatus, but we'll be back before you know it when students return for classes on Monday, August 18th. We hope everyone has a happy and safe summer. I'll see you in August.